Hello, ladies. Well, ta-da! It's that time of year again. It's almost the end of the year. Although we got an early snowfall, we all know what's coming, right? New Year's. It's the end of a year, and that means that we as Lillies decide to do what? We decide that we are going to dive in deep and do a word of the year for 2019 and a verse for your life. Raise your hand if you have a life verse. Awesome. For those of you that already have your life verse, we're going to challenge you to do two things this series. A, we want you to map your verse. I know. You've probably had it for years, some of you. And maybe some of you it's a little bit newer. But mapping your verse brings it alive. Look up that verse in multiple translations of the Bible. Really own it. And your second task for those of you that have a life verse, you get to share it and come alongside the ladies in this class that don't have a life verse, so you can help them out in establishing theirs. Why a life verse, you ask? What is a life verse, you ask? Let me fill you in. I'll tell you my story, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how you can get your own life verse. So years ago, I was going through a divorce, and those of you that have been there, or any time in your life where it's been complicated, right? Or you've just been stuck in the middle of something that you believe will never end. You might feel lonely and lost and confused. You just don't even know where God is at that point because you yourself are stuck in all of the misery of what you're going through, your circumstance, your situation. I was exactly there. I wasn't where I needed to be with my relationship with the Lord, but God was working on me, let me tell you guys. So I was sitting in my car crying, because I'm a girl and who doesn't do that from time to time. And a song came on the radio. It was by Jenny Owens. And before she sang that song, she shared her story. Now, Jenny is a wonderful musician, but she is blind. And she was telling a story of the fact that she graduated from college with her degree in music and that she desired to be a teacher. And she had all of these interviews at all of these different high schools. And once they found out that she was blind, they were like, no. And so God revealed to her the verse in the beginning of James. And when she read this verse on the radio that day, as I sat weeping in my car, I knew that God brought that message from Jenny to me for exactly that time. And so I adopted that as my verse, and it goes like this. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of any kind, because the testing of your faith will develop perseverance. And perseverance must persist so you can be complete and mature, not lacking anything. I think except for maybe when my daughter was in missionettes and when I was a little girl in church, that was probably the first Bible verse that I really memorized and owned. Not because my third grade missionettes teacher was telling me to memorize it, but because God gave it to me. And so I memorized it, I recited it, I mumbled it, I sang it, I wrote it down, I taped it everywhere, and it became my anchor. It was my everything during that time. And I believe without anything in my heart, with everything in my heart, that God provided that verse for me for that moment. Now, did I come through the divorce? Absolutely. Did God grow me and mature me? Absolutely. Have I gone through other trials in my life? You bet. But has that verse held strong? Yes, it certainly has. And so for me, my verse didn't change. It is without a doubt my life verse. And it continues to pull me through. I continue to speak it out loud. And now at this point in my faith, I share it with others and I tell my story and I guide them and help them to come up with their own life verse. So that's my story about my life verse. Everyone has a story, and during this series, you're going to be hearing lots of great stories. So let's dive into our life verses for the next few weeks. And then also join us because at the end of our series, these 4 weeks that we'll be spending together at the end of 2018, we are going to do something super fun, and that's find a word of the year. Yep, I only started this about 5 years ago. Again, something that God gave to me. My first 2 years, my word was hope. it just worked. I got remarried. My 3 kids were finally, everyone was doing good. We bought this beautiful farm. Our dog's name was Hope. It just made sense. So for 2 years, I held on to that word. I bought everything at Hobby Lobby that said Hope. Don't tell my husband. Although I'm sure he can see it all over the farm. I had Hope necklaces and Hope bracelets and Hope journals and you name it. Anytime I could get my hands on that word, I grabbed it. I would not recommend blowing your budget for such a project. However, it was my word and I held strong. After that, God gave me the word joy. And after my 2 years of hope and coming out of the middle part of my life that was trying and challenging, I learned, I grew, and God just filled me with such amazing joy. And so I claimed that 2 years ago. Everything I did, I filtered through my word for the year. Will this bring God joy? Will this bring myself joy? Will this bring my family joy? And if not, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. And then last year, my word was forward. Although somewhere in my heart, just the word forward wasn't working for me, so I kind of made it a phrase of the year and ended up doing forward with strength. And I'm telling you, God has for sure helped me move forward in 2018 with strength. I have never felt stronger. I have never felt more on fire for the Lord. And I'm super excited for the word that God will give me for 2019. So you belong here. Don't leave us. You are here for a reason. We're super glad that you're with us. 4 weeks, our life verse, and our word for 2019. Welcome, ladies. We love you, and we're so, so glad that you're with us.